Hey everyone, this is Mother Tammy from Holy Angels Catholic Church in Santa Ana, California, and I'm also one of the members of the Mary Magdalene Society Advisory Committee. And today, just like some of our other interviews, I have a couple people here to get their take on the Mary Magdalene Society and their thoughts on the direction that we're going. In the past, I've actually interviewed people that have received grants, but today I have Sheila and Betty with me who are going to give me their perspective on why they give their time and their talents and their donations to the Mary Magdalene Society. So I'm going to pass it to Sheila first so she can do an introduction of herself and take it away, Sheila.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. I am a nurse, a retired nurse, 50 years in nursing, and I joined the ECC back in probably about 2012 in St. Louis at St. Clair and Francis. I found that it fit my needs. It was my spiritual home as a almost lifelong Roman Catholic. I had been searching for some time for something that met my needs. So now I am affiliated with a, um, a variety of the ECC parishes and quite involved with Mary Magdalene Society.
Sounds
Good.
great. Thanks, Sheila. And Betty, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I'm Betty Adams. I'm from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'm a retired financial advisor retired now about 15 years, I think. Um, and I am been affiliated with ECC in various communities for about, I think it's 18 years. Um, and I have been part of the Mary Magdalene Society advisory committees for about 8 years, for almost from the beginning.
Wow, that's great. I didn't realize it's been 8 years now that Mary Magdalene Society has been around. So it's wonderful that both of you have contributed to this amazing society. And with that, what inspired you to give to the Mary Magdalene Society, Sheila? And whether that be time, talents, monetarily, what have you done for the society?
It started out with a financial donation. When I saw that the Mary Magdalene Society was being set up, and I was very familiar with some of the people who really got it started, and I believed in what they were doing, and I also believe in putting your money where your mouth is, and that's what I decided to do. It seems to me that the clergy, I was particularly interested in the clergy support or the support for aspiring clergy, particularly female clergy, that the MMS was, focused on. At that point, I knew a little bit about the youth, but what really drove me was the support for aspiring female clergy.
Fantastic. And Betty, what inspired you?
No, I have to laugh, Sheila. I could almost say ditto, but because many of much of what you said is the same. What inspired me, again, like as you said, are the people who, first of all, the people who started the whole idea, Bishop Frank and the Leadership Council at the time when he became bishop. Um, the ECC was in the red at that time, and they knew they had to raise money to break even, get out of debt, get into the black, and at the same time, then in looking at the future of ECC, they felt this so important that we have to find a way to support the communities or the leadership of the communities, meaning mostly the clergy of the communities, and um, and then the youth who would help keep all of ECC going. So again, it's the same thing. I knew the people who were organizing it, and I knew them to be really strong leaders, professional people, good money managers, and very committed to ECC. And so I felt very comfortable in participating in the quest to help, again, first of all, reduce the debt or get rid of the debt, which happened right away with the first drive, and then to continue on um, to build the fund to support people.
Mhm.
So it was the people and ultimately the purpose.
Right. And for anyone that's watching that does not know about the Mary Magdalene Society, there are two grants, as we're mentioning here. One that goes specifically to priests to be able to pay off student loan debt or debt that has occurred as they're trying to become a clergy member, or the youth grants that go to youth groups throughout the ECC. So Betty, what impact have you seen or hope to see from your contributions?
Oh my goodness. We have over the time raised, well, we've raised about 100 and getting around 160, $165,000. And that doesn't even include the debt that was used to pay off. So, and now we are able to we are now, making distributions. Initially, it took a few years to get some organization done and for the Mary Magdalene Society, so it took a couple of years of organization before the fundraising part of it could really get kicked off again to continue. So I'm now, we're seeing the grant money being given to, and again, we're especially sensitive to the fact that women have never had the opportunities in being clergy in their education that some of the men have had as having been in the Roman Catholic world and now they're part of ECC and they got their education paid for. And it's not that we have this strong bias for women that we don't give to men too, but it is very exciting to help someone who's making the decision to go for their MDiv and then become ordained, or to help them pay off their debt because we all know they don't get paid much. As part of keeping every community going alive. And now we're seeing sort of a new impact on the youth. And we've had initially there was a youth retreat done in the first couple of years, and then there was another more young adult retreat done in California that we sponsored, and now we're sponsoring. We will do more of that if there are applications, but we're now also sponsoring young adults to attend the synod and learn more about ECC, which is very exciting.
Mhm. And Sheila, what about you? What impact have you seen or hope to see for your contributions?
What I've seen so far, um, because I'm in Wisconsin and I don't really see the effect of the youth grants, I do hear about the youth grants, but the thing that I've really seen or heard is the effect that the clergy support has had on the individuals. The majority of recipients are female, and they've been so appreciative of the support. And I am astounded at the amount of student loan that some of those people have. I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh my God, my jaw drops. I taught college for 25 years. I know what student loans are like, but those student loans are high. And it's just, to see them be so thankful is just very gratifying to me. It's like my money is well spent.
Well, being one of those female clergy members that did apply for grants and received some to help with my education, I thank both you ladies for your contributions because I could not have gotten through my own master's program without the help of the Mary Magdalene Society. So Sheila, what would you say to others who are considering supporting the Mary Magdalene Society?
I'd say be one of those supporters. I'd say, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking Bishop Pablo at one of our meetings said that just very in his own very quiet way, he said, I think about those little old ladies who made the donations to their, $5 and $10 donations to their little society in their little church. And that money helped me through seminary. And I just kind of laughed and I thought, I am going to be one of those little old ladies that puts together, $50 here and $25 there. And that's exactly what I am. And if there are enough of us, those little old people, I should say, just these people out in the community, we're doing our lives, we're doing our things, we're taking care of friends and family, we're working within our community, but we're also carving out a little bit of time to help those individuals. It wasn't too long ago, a couple of years ago, I wrote a grant for a group in Oshkosh who they needed help with interpreter services for people who had been stranded in this country. They'd come into the country legally, did not speak the language very well, had all their papers stolen from them, and they needed interpreters to help them work their way through the system to either get back to where they came from or to become naturalized citizens. And the money that we got for the grant was from women who have lunch together. They would have a luncheon and they would raise $500 here and $400 there and $300 here. And we've turned up being able to secure multiple thousands of dollars for this organization so that they could get interpreters to help these individuals who never could have afforded that kind of help. So, it's like, be one of those people. Just, be one of those people. It's not so important as the amount, but just be one of those people that chips in and helps out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say.
It's the only way that you'll affect change for sure, right? By
Absolutely.
doing it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And Betty, what would you say to others who are considering supporting the Mary Magdalene Society?
Well, I would say that, Kimmy, you've done such a wonderful job of interviewing candidates and putting their stories in newsletters or on videos. I think there are, tell me, are there some that are on podcasts?
Yeah, well, we did all of the videos or interviews kind of the same style that we're doing now through Zoom, and then I
Yeah,
transfer them to a YouTube channel. So,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah. So I really, if you, and you always give instructions in a newsletter that you're part of the important part of our communications group of the advisory committee, is go to those and listen to the stories of the people that are being helped. Um, Oh, they just really, really touch your heart and make you feel so good that you've done something to help these people who are in turn giving so much of their time and their talent to their community and to the people. So it's very impactful too when you hear the story or of the young people who've been to a retreat. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you're doing when you're listening to these stories is you're hearing straight from their mouth how they spent that money.
mhm,
Whether it be the youth group that went, and I know locally they took a group of kids to Disneyland with some of the money that they raised, or they put it into education programs within their communities. The priests are paying off debt. There was also an instance where our community brought members of their youth group to Synod this last year. These are just
mhm,
some of the ways that the money is being spent. So you can see that, we're very purposeful on how it's given so that way there's
mhm,
opportunities for our communities to grow. So,
mhm, mhm.
and then lastly, are there particular aspects of the Mary Magdalene Society's work that you are especially passionate about? And I'll give that first to Sheila.
Oh my goodness. That's let me tell you a little story about I had this honor of observing a young woman being ordained as a priest, and she was she wasn't ordained in the ECC, but she was ordained as a priest to work in the ECC. The ordination ceremony was in a large seminary's, sanctuary. The sanctuary it's big, it's a very prominent place in St. Louis. The place was filled, and I looked around at the congregation that was gathered, and there were so many nuns that I knew, and I'd known them just for being a lifelong person in St. Louis. I knew a lot of these nuns. There were so many nuns in the audience, and you should have seen their faces as they saw one of their own being ordained as a priest. And I thought to myself, so many of those women would have been wonderful priests. They would have been so helpful and so just so tuned in to what families need and what their parishioners would need. Just it's a very, very different type of kind of perspective that a woman has about the spiritual needs of adults, put it that way. And I think that's what drives me, that passion for more female priests, for more female clergy, and that they are able to be well prepared, very well prepared, with a solid theological background, solid footing on which to build their career as priests. So that's definitely what it is. Should have seen some of those nuns were in tears, just in tears as they saw this young woman being ordained.
That's incredible.
There would
Yeah, I think as a female
many of them out
priest,
there.
what was that?
Yeah, I agree. There's probably many out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and as a female priest to be a role model to other women, young women, I remember when I first stepped into my community and I was not vested yet, and a young girl in our community was, she was looking at me, and then I came out vested, and she turned to her mom. She goes, "Mom," and I was a deacon at the time. "Mom, she's a deacon." Like that's actually a possibility for me, you know?
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, to be
Yeah.
able to be a role model to young women is truly inspiring for me. So, I could relate with what you're saying, Sheila. So, um, and Betty, what about you? Is there something in particular that you're passionate about with the Mary Magdalene Society?
Well, I found that the passion has changed with what I've been doing with when it started out. Um, as I said, there was a drive, a big drive the very first year,
Mhm.
but then there had to be a lot of organization, the bylaws written, constitution, etc. All that legal work had to be done. A lot of had to be done. And some of the people who were involved initially um, had to back out. But Bishop Frank and Art Bavoso were two people um, who were stayed with it. So that's how I became involved, is asking me if I would help with some of that. So that was my passion initially, was let's get this organized in as a team and get this off the ground, because I found um, as I was communicating and calling all the communities that I could get numbers or be able to talk to somebody, is they were asking me a lot of questions about that organization. Where are you at? What are you doing? Where's the money? And how's it being spent? Da, da, da. So that was the passion for the first couple of years, is let's get this going. And it's such a great purpose and organization. So then when that all happened, and we raised the first then $100,000 mark, we had this create an endowment and had it put in the endowment, and that was another big milestone to accomplish that. And now the idea is to keep raising enough money each year to actually cover the expenses and to give grants while we're still allowing that endowment to grow.
Mhm.
That's really critical that we don't spend down that endowment. And so we're, but we can take some money off of it, which we are starting to take a little bit off of it. So now the passion for me is it's still the purpose of supporting the supporting the clergy that want to be our leaders and supporting the young adults or that want to become involved and are excited about being involved. Um, I guess though my passion is still about, along with it though, is the organization,
Mhm.
trying to make sure that Mary Magdalene Society Advisory Committee, the whole thing continues. The purpose can change. I mean, of what we're supposed to do can change because it is the ECC Leadership Council who decides what is our purpose. They may decide somewhere down the road that, oh, you know what, we don't need to give grants, or that's not going to be a bigger. We're going to add some other reason to raise money and give money out, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but that's what it is now, and I just really feel very strongly about. I want to see this whole organization continue, and we have a terrific advisory group right now. Um, you know, it's all volunteer. So you know how volunteer things are. Your time isn't always. Sometimes you just have to do something different with your time. You have to have other priorities, different priorities. And so
Mhm.
anyway, it's always where it's that's always going to be a job or work to do is to make sure that the organization is strong itself.
Yeah, and I think just as giving my perspective of like my passion for this is that like the two of you, I've been in the ECC for a very long time. I started way before it even had come into inception, which was 2002 was when I started at my journey, and then the ECC formed in 2003. So I got to see it kind of, evolve.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
as you know, it's always kind of going to be changing, and evolving and being different. But that's what I think that is important with this advisory board or advisory committee is that um, to be able to uh, grow with that change. I mean, I think I was seeing that, I wanted to see younger people. The churches I've been
Mhm.
involved in have been, generally an older population. So I wanted to see like, okay, well, how can we make that change to where this is not just a one generation thing, that it's going to live on past
Mhm.
me and whoever's after me. So that's my passion in continuing to want to see this grow. So, um, I think it's important to be able to see that growth that we want to see that change. So that's what I'm passionate about is just making sure that this continues on long past the time I'm here. So. But ladies, thank you so much for your insight, your thoughts about the Mary Magdalene Society. It's so appreciative, and hopefully the people that are watching this are seeing the need to continue this society so that we can have the growth of the ECC that we want to see. So thank you very much for coming on and allowing me to interview and get your perspective today.
Been my
Thank you,
pleasure.
Tammy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you, Tammy, for all that you do
Yes, yes, for sure.
all,
Thank
For
you.
sure.
for ECC, for your community. I mean, you work really hard. You have a lot going on, and we really appreciate
Well, I do it
what
for the
you do
love
for
of
us.
my community and the love for the ACC for sure.
Thank you.
And
Thank
so, for those of you that are watching, keep a lookout for any future interviews. Now that we have awarded the 2025 grants, you'll be seeing some new interviews with new people. So, thank you for watching, and we will keep these coming. Thanks, everyone.
thank
Okay,
you.
bye bye.
Bye.